Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Coach Corey from Lion Dads back with another video for you. And today we're going to be talking about why it's important to always check the nutrition labels of any foods you buy at the store. But before we get going on that, I want you to go down to the description of this video and go to click the link to www.lion-dads.com. And I want you guys to get my free guide on getting started with the carnivore diet. It's got everything you need to get going, get started. It's got a shopping list in there. It's got everything you need to go take to the store, start buying carnivore foods, and get started losing weight on a carnivore diet today. So back to the video. Like I said, today we're going to talk about always checking the nutrition labels on any foods you buy and why it's important, and kind of, how to do that, what you're looking for on there. Should just be a really quick one today. And, maybe like some mistakes I've made when it comes to that when I started my carnivore diet kind of journey, right? So getting into it, the first thing that I kind of want to talk to you guys about is, obviously, let's say you're starting a carnivore diet, or you've been on one for a little bit and just don't know, checking nutrition labels isn't something you really thought about. Why are you doing this? What are you looking for? Things like that. What are kind of the principles of why you're doing this diet in the first place? And so what a carnivore diet basically means, obviously, is that in the name you're eating carnivorous meat-based, animal products, right? You're eliminating, hopefully, any plant-based foods, plant-based items from your diet. You're focusing strictly on, eating foods that are sourced from animal, whether that's meat, it can be dairy, eggs, things like that. And so what you're trying to do is buy more food, and I recommend it, obviously, to buy more like whole sourced animal products, whole food. You're just buying one single ingredient foods. But that's not necessarily the case for everybody. You know what I mean? A lot of us eat, we go to the grocery store and we're buying things, you're in a hurry or whatever it is. And so you're getting, you're going through, you're looking for deals, maybe, whatever it is. You're buying some dairy products, things like that. So, these are just going to be some things you need to think about when you're doing that, when you're, buying your foods, and you're looking at what's going to be the best for me, what's the best product for me to buy on the market, save some money, get the best nutrition, whatever hits my macros, and, if you're doing anything like that, and giving me the right amount of protein and nutrients and things like that, while being, carnivore friendly. So going to the store, that's what you want to do. And then you got to think about, what ingredients am I avoiding when I'm buying these foods, right? So, like, the first thing is, obviously, you're looking for meat foods, right? You're looking for animal foods, animal-based, ingredients in your products that you're buying. But you're looking to eliminate things like sugar. You're looking to eliminate, definitely, like the seed oils. You're definitely looking to eliminate grains, things like that. Obviously, these are non-animal products, you know what I mean? And once you get into it and you start looking at a lot of the nutrition labels, what you're going to find is there's a lot of stuff that just kind of gets thrown into your food products. And like I said, I got a story I'm going to follow this all up with. A couple of them, actually. I got a couple examples I can kind of give you where I've made mistakes in this area. But when you start looking at, different nutrition labels, you'll see they can be long as hell, on something simple. Like a simple food product you wouldn't think would have a bunch of hidden shit in it. You'll look at it and you'll find all kinds of different crap. You know what I mean? All kinds of different fillers. They use, here in America, we use so many different fillers in our foods. The food industry just, they're trying to find the cheaper way to make foods. They're trying to find different ways that they can fill it out, save a buck, and they don't really give a rat's ass about your health. You know what I mean? And that's the reason we're in this like obesity epidemic today. So that's stuff you got to look for. You got to look for, it's hard to go in the store and find something that isn't cut with like soybean oil, vegetable oil, and all this other crap. So that's something you got to be a little vigilant about now, especially today, especially here if you're living in America. I know I saw a food label comparison the other day that was American versus European, same product. I don't remember the product. I should have screenshotted it, and I would have thrown it in here, but I didn't because I'm, wasn't thinking about it at the moment, and I need to be better at that. But it basically showed, and the ingredient list on the American side was like this long. It was crazy. And then the European was like 5 ingredients. You know what I mean? So you're getting a much healthier product. It still had, carbs and stuff in it. It's, but it's a product that like has been sold since the 1950s. I think it was like some instant Quaker oatmeal. It's actually, now that I'm thinking about what it was, and the European version was like oats, sugar, strawberry flavor, like that was it basically. And then the American side is like a bunch of shit that I couldn't even pronounce, and seed oils and things like that. And seed oils are a big thing that we're trying, that I'm trying to teach you guys to avoid here by getting on a carnivore diet. But these are things that you just got to be aware of, especially if you're living in the States, that they throw this unnecessary crap into the food, right? So, moving on to the next kind of point is how to do this, how to read these nutrition labels. We all know what we're looking for is animal-based products, right? And you're looking for, if you're really looking down to the nitty-gritty of it, maybe you're being kind of aware of how much you've been eating. Maybe you've been overeating for years, and you can still kind of overeat on a carnivore diet, and that's kind of why it's a good idea to get a sense of how many calories go into a food, how big a recommended serving size kind of is. Even if you're not counting calories, it's good to just know man, I could sit and eat, let's say you buy some frozen burger patties, right? And you can sit, they have a lot of fat in them and things like that. They're a little easier to get down. Still got a lot of protein and stuff like that, but higher fatty foods, you can get them down pretty quick. Well, I can sit and eat 6 of these, right? And then you look at the label and you see how many calories is in one patty, and you're like, holy shit, maybe I shouldn't sit and house 6 of these damn things. They're a few hundred calories a piece, you know what I mean? So, you can look at it, and the way you eat a meal, you can end up putting down 1,400 calories in one meal. Yeah, it's carnivore technically, and you're getting a lot of protein and fat and all that stuff in it, but it's damn, geez, I didn't realize how much food this actually is. So that's one thing you can look at. It goes beyond just the ingredient label, which I'll get to. Next thing you look at, is there carbs in this item? Obviously, a carnivore diet is basically going to be a low carb or zero carb diet. I've never been a guy who worries about going into ketosis, ketone levels and stuff. I got too much shit going on in my life to sit and worry about that. I'm probably in ketosis all the time, or I've never checked it. Never in my life have I checked ketones, ketosis, any of that kind of stuff for myself. So it's something I just don't worry about and don't think about. But some of you are, some of you are trying to do this more of a ketogenic style, which is fine. So you need to be aware of how many carbs are in an item, in a food product, whatever you're buying. So check that stuff. Check and see if there's any carbs in there. Check and see, what you're finding that could be stashed away in these food items, and make sure that there's no hidden carbs or anything in there that's going to sneak up on you. And if you are trying to do a ketosis type thing, going to throw you out of that, or just doesn't fit into a carnivore diet. If there's carbs going into a carnivore diet, some carnivore foods have carbs in them, eggs have naturally a carb or so in them, things like that. You're looking at there's a carb or something like that. Definitely check out where that's coming from and see why is there carbs in this. And but kind of understand if you start seeing the numbers getting high on the carbs, it's kind of a red flag, because most carnivore animal-based foods are going to be low carb by nature. So it's just something to think about. You got to look at the carbs. Then look at the fat content. Is it super duper high fat, which is fine if you're going into ketosis. If you're kind of being more aware of calories and stuff, you do need to be aware that fat is the macronutrient that is a little highest in calories. So if you're going really high in fat, you are going to be taking in probably more calories and might need to eat less food if that's kind of what you're looking at. But if you've been playing it by ear, kind of winging it, and you're eating pretty high fat, you're eating kind of higher on the higher end of calories, and you're losing weight, hey, that's fine. Your metabolism probably reset, and you're doing okay. But if you're starting to gain weight and you're looking at food labels and you're noticing you're eating a shit ton of fat, you might need to like scale back a little bit. You might need to be a little more aware of how many calories you're eating. You may need to start looking at serving sizes and then, comparing that to how much you're eating. Grab a food scale. They're cheap, super easy to use. Just pop your food on there before you cook it or after you cook it, however you want to do it. And just make sure that you're not eating just like an asinine amount of food. It is so easy. I've done videos on this recently where it's just easy as hell to overeat on this diet. You can do it. Any diet you can overeat on. And the carnivore diet's really no different, despite what a lot of people might tell you. So those are things you got to be aware of when you're checking the nutrition label. Make sure you're getting good amounts of protein in there. Make sure that, it's staying fairly low carb, if not zero carb. Make sure that the fat is, you're just kind of aware how this stuff works. You need to be eating fat on this diet. I can't overstate that. You do need to eat fat. Fat's good for you. It's good for the hormones and things like that. It's good for giving you sustained energy throughout the day. You don't want to be really mixing carbs and fat. So carbs are fat is a great energy source. Carbs are an actual energy source too, but fat is a super efficient energy source that you need throughout the day. So you need to be taking in fat, but you also need to be, aware of just how much you're actually eating, especially if you find yourself starting to gain weight and things like that. Now let's get to like the ingredients, right? That's the big one. You need to be looking at ingredients. Hopefully, the smaller amount of ingredients, the better. That's the number one rule of thumb, right? Like if you're buying food that has one ingredient in it, perfect. That's excellent. Like if you buy beef, it should say beef. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have a bunch of other bullshit in it. If you're buying pork, it should say pork. It should say, if you buy bacon, this is the tricky one, because bacon's got a lot of nitrates and things like that when you buy it in the store. So most of my bacon comes from a rancher now. Most of my foods come from a rancher now. I don't even really have to check labels anymore because I know it's going from a rancher to a butcher. I'm filling out a sheet that tells what I want in my food, and then I'm getting it the way I asked for it. And that's a route I recommend a lot of you explore if you have that option. But, bacon's gonna have a lot of sugars and they cure it. They do all kinds of different things to it. Bacon's a big one that'll have a lot of different fillers and kind of crap in it. So you have to be aware of that when you're buying bacon. That's a big one. So keep in mind when you buy bacon, check that label. But just looking for foods that you like, if you can't pronounce something, that's a huge red flag. You know what I mean? If it's got any kind of oil at the end of it, to me, that's a huge red flag. If it's got soybean in it, I'm done. That's not going in me. I'm not eating it. If it's got vegetable, canola oil, any of that stuff, palm oil, all those kind of things, I don't buy them. I won't buy them. I won't put that stuff in my body. I won't eat it anymore. Never again. And that's kind of a hard stance I've taken, and that I recommend other people do, because that's the shit that's really killing us and making us fat now, is the seed oils and things like that. But there's a lot of different sweeteners and stuff. If you want to, check the label, pull out your phone, go to Google. Like there's a lot of things that have like xanthan gum in them, things like that. Look and see what the hell that stuff is. Is it bad for me? Will it affect me? Obviously, don't trust everything you read on the internet, but do some research on these things. If you're reading stuff and you can't pronounce it, or you don't know what the hell it even is, you guys got it. You got to do your due diligence on what you're putting in your body now. This isn't the 90s where you just went and bought shit and ate it and probably didn't get super duper fat, or the 80s. Now there's dangerous shit in the foods we're eating now. There's stuff in there that is awful for you. You know what I mean? I don't know why this has happened in the last like 20 years, 30 years, however long. I don't know why the food industry has done this. It's probably financially based. Either that, or there's people out there who believe that they're literally trying to kill you with your food or make you fat and unhealthy. Maybe that's the case too. I don't know, but all I know is somehow this bullshit has found its way into our food and is literally poisoning us. So I want you guys to start being more cognizant of what's on the nutrition label, and also keep in mind on the nutrition label that the Food and Drug Administration allows them to be inaccurate by up to 10%. So they have a 10% swing of how accurate that information can be. So if you're looking at something like, oh, I only have, I can eat 500 calories today, and you eat something that's 500 calories, that thing could actually be 550 calories. So just, keep that, if you're counting calories. So keep that kind of stuff in mind, when you're buying it. You're best to kind of overestimate how much you're eating than to underestimate your eating if you're trying to lose weight, because these food labels can be inaccurate with the calories, with the protein content, with the fat content, with all that stuff. The nutrient portion of the label can be inaccurate, and they're allowed to be inaccurate by a certain amount. I'm pretty sure it's about 10%. So just kind of be aware that when you're eating it, it's only so many calories, and it could be a substantial amount more. So I'm going to give you a couple stories of things that I have done in the past where I've kind of screwed up and not checked the label and maybe held myself back a little bit. So when I started this journey, I was big on ground beef. I still am, still a huge ground beef fan, still big on making patties, burger patties, and just eating them. And I found these patties in the store at my local grocery store, and they were in these frozen packs, and they just said ground beef patties on them, and then it gave the different cuts that it came from. So one said tri-tip, one said prime rib, they had all 3 or 4 different kinds. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, ground chuck, things like that. And I was like, oh, these are awesome. I love tri-tip, and I love prime rib, and I love this kind of stuff. And they were fairly, cost effective, and I didn't know anything. I was pretty new to my carnivore, diet, and just kind of grabbed them. They were frozen beef patties, and I took them home. I was like, look, check this out. Showed my wife I got these prime rib patties and these tri-tip patties, and I started cooking them up and eating them, and they were awesome. Didn't taste bad, didn't have, nothing that I noticed or anything, but, I was eating these things and buying them, and they always had them on sale. So, I started eating the hell out of these burger patties, and they were addicting. They were so good. And this went on for several weeks. I was eating these patties. I'd probably just cook a shitload of them up for lunch, eat them, whatever. It was mostly me eating them. Everybody else in the house gets kind of tired of burger patties, and they're just a nice, quick, easy way for me to get my carnivore foods in. I still to this day will just bulk cook a shitload of patties, and I've always got them. And one day I just set the package down, and I'm cooking them up, and I just kind of happened to glance at the nutrition label, and hadn't ever looked at the nutrition label before, didn't care, didn't think to, because it just said beef patties on the package, right? And I didn't know any better. I was pretty new to the carnivore diet, and I look, and the list of ingredients on this package was this long. And I was like, well, what the hell is all in this? Why is it this long? You know what I mean? These are just beef patties, right? So I took it, and I picked it up, and I looked at it, and the first ingredient was, ground beef. The second ingredient, soybean. Third ingredient, couldn't pronounce it. But you know what I mean? It just went on and on and on. And there were 9 items on the ingredient list that I didn't even know what the fuck they were. Couldn't pronounce them. Googled them. Couldn't even really find a good definition of what the hell it is. Just get a picture of a little chemical chain and all this. And I was so pissed off. I was so upset, so mad at myself, obviously. Everything you do in life, in my opinion, is your fault. You know what I mean? When you make mistakes like this, it's my fucking fault. I'm the one that screwed up. I didn't check my label. I didn't even think about checking the label. And I was like, what the hell? My first instinct was feel betrayed by this company who doesn't give a shit about me and my health. All they care about is pumping a product out, cutting it with seed oils and making money, right? But, I was so pissed off, and then, eventually just became pissed off at myself. And I just, from that point forward, I never wanted to, buy food without checking the label. So another thing I've done, and this one I kind of caught it before it became a thing. So I use one nice, quick, easy like way to put some, you know, extra protein in food is you can kind of add some liquid egg whites to it, right? The liquid egg beaters are pasteurized, and you can, like, so I used to make protein shakes, or I buy it at Ninja Creamy, I make like protein ice cream, and it's a good way to add it, you know, like fill it up, make it creamier, and you can add like a lot of protein content to it. And then I use just a plain whey and then some sweetener and stuff like that, and then you blend it up, a little heavy whipping cream, and you got ice cream when you run it through the Ninja Creamy, right? And I love these egg whites, you know what I mean? My son drinks protein shakes. They're really super carnivore friendly, you know, protein shakes. And you know, after checking the label of the protein, of course, making sure there's not a bunch of different crap in there. But anyway, I digress. We used these liquid egg whites instead of water to just kind of make it give it a little fuller taste, fuller mouthfeel, a little extra protein, just kind of make it a little creamier instead of using like milk and stuff, trying to get away from dairy. These egg whites have been awesome. You know, they're like a staple in my diet now. I am a huge egg fan, and I know, you know, goes without saying, like the nutrition content of egg yolks and stuff like that is super beneficial, and I eat yolks too. These aren't just like me trying to just eat egg whites. It's a way for me to add some protein to other food. And I was going through the store and I was getting my egg whites, and I see the actual liquid egg beaters next to it that's actual like with the yolks in it. And I was like, well, if I've been doing it with the whites and I love egg yolks and the benefits they give and the nutrition, why don't I just start using the full egg type thing, package, you know, container or whatever, and use that instead. So I picked it up, and then I was like, well, let me look at the nutrition label, and wouldn't you know it, like the egg whites, you get one ingredient, liquid egg whites. That's it. It's just egg whites. You look at the whole egg one, it is, I don't even know what the hell half the stuff in it is. It's just crazy, like different bullshit ingredients that you can't pronounce. You don't know what the hell it is, and seed oils and all this stuff. And it just says liquid eggs on the container. Shocking, right? Like, so obviously that went back on the shelf, and I just kept buying the egg whites to fill my, you know, other foods up with, you know, if I want some extra protein stuff, make my carnivore friendly ice cream with it and things like that. So these are all both lessons that I took, that like you always have to check the label. And I don't put anything in my shopping cart. I won't put anything in my body until I've read the label first. And that's just kind of a principle that I live with. It hasn't affected me in life. You know, it has only served me well. And so I recommend and, you know, ask that you all think about doing the same thing. Definitely if you're in one of my programs or something like that, that's one of the first things that I'm pounding into you, is you're going to be checking food labels constantly. And I have a whole class on how to do it and everything. So that's something I just wanted to leave you guys with today. Always check your food labels. Always make sure you know what you're eating and what amounts and things like that. And just do this thing the right way. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm recommending. Do it the right way. Make sure you guys are making good choices. You're doing your due diligence, and you're controlling, and you're, you know, being aware of what you're putting in your body, what you're buying at the store, what you're spending your hard-earned money on. You don't want to be bringing a bunch of foods home, spending your money on it, then thinking about, man, let me look at the label and look at it, and then you have to throw this shit away or give it away or just suck it up and eat it because you spent a bunch of money on it. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. You know, as always, you know, go down to the link in the description, go to www.lion-dads.com, get your free carnivore guide, get started, get your shopping list, get in the store, check your nutrition labels, start shopping, get on a carnivore diet, start losing weight, start building muscle, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.